have a review for you on these new L'Oreal True Match Lumi Liquid Glow Illuminator, and it says Prime and Highlight. So I did purchase all three of these in the drugstores in America. I purchased them in June, but recently at the end of July now, I have seen them at Canadian drugstores. They are a little bit expensive for drugstore products. In the States, they were $12.99, but I was able to pick them up at an Ulta for 40% off when they were having a sale. But I don't know how much they are in Canada. I'm sure they're going to be close to $20 because of like the exchange rate in Canadian drugstores just being ridiculous. So I'm sure that they'll be expensive. But I wanted to get on here and do a review for you on these so you know if you should pick them up or not. And I do also have all the powdered ones, which I will do a separate video on, so that should be coming shortly. So definitely make sure you subscribe so you can see that upcoming video. So these come in 3 shades. You have Rose, you have Ice, and you also have Golden. I was really excited to see these at the drugstore because there isn't a lot of this kind of like highlighter illuminator at the drugstore. There is a few, and sometimes every couple of years a drugstore brand will put them out, but they always get discontinued. Those Revlon skin lights or whatever they were called have been discontinued like 5 times, and they keep re-releasing them. But there isn't like a permanent drugstore highlighter that is really good. So I was really excited to see these, and I definitely wanted to pick them up to see if the hype was sort of there or even if they were a good drugstore highlighter. I was excited to see 3 different shades of these. I know that some people look for different things in highlighters, so I was hoping that there might be a good variation for everybody, and I guess it just depends on personal preference on what you're looking for a highlighter. I mean, for someone like my skin tones, I think that I definitely could probably wear all 3, but it just depends on what you're looking for and sort of what kind of skin tone you have to know if some of these will work for you. As you can see, I have all 3 swatched here. I will do a close-up of them. The first one I have here is called Ice. It's a really bright sort of white based highlighter. It would be really nice for someone who is super pale and wants a really strong highlighter for pale skin tones, but it is really like white icy. And then I have Golden, which is quite gold in color. It almost leans a little bit more bronze, but I feel like for someone who is my skin tone, who is a little bit more on the pink undertone but still quite light, it might show up a little bit harsh of a golden sort of glow to your skin, but if you blend it out properly or even mix it with a foundation, I feel like it could look really pretty. And then I have Rose, which is a quite pink highlighter. This is like a really pink champagne color, and for me, it kind of shows up a little bit too pink to use as a highlighter. It's nice if I mix it with foundation or sort of use it in the blush area, but if I strictly use it on the top of my cheekbones, it can come across a little bit too pink for a highlighter for someone who is as fair as myself. These are all overly metallic. Like once you apply them, you'll see here, they're really, really metallic. They're nice if you sheer them out, you get more of a glow, but if you're looking for a really strong opaque highlight, they're quite metallic, and it's not something I'm always looking for in highlights because it can almost look too stark or too like fake looking, and usually for highlights for myself, I'm looking for something that is quite strong, something similar to what I'm wearing today, but that can be toned down or blended out to look a little bit natural. I found that if I used one color by itself, it was almost too metallic and too overly it looked a little bit too overly done, like too overly metallic. But if I mix them together, like my favorite way was to mix the Golden and the Icy together, it's a little bit more natural and a little bit less stark golden or stark really icy highlights, and when you mix it together, it blended out really nicely. These also dry really fast. As you can see, they're dried on my hand, and once I rub my finger over them, they don't blend out anymore. So pretty much if you go to apply it and you put a line here and then you like go to do something else, that line will be on your makeup. You need to be careful to blend these out almost instantly, or you'll be stuck with like a stark white highlight, which is probably not what most people are going for. I know that strobing trend is really popular right now, but I feel like the strobing trend is really popular when you blend it out really nicely, so you have that strong highlight but it's blended in seamlessly with your skin. You have to be careful with these because they do dry so fast and they are so metallic that you need to make sure to blend them out instantly. My favorite way to blend them is with a stippling brush. I feel like that's the best way to avoid any kind of overly metallic highlight or overly unblended look. So I like to use a stippling brush or any kind of duo fiber brush just to to make sure that they are blended out. I do think that because they are a little bit overly metallic, they do accentuate any kind of texture, so keep that in mind. I found that when I blended it in with my foundation or really just used a really light layer, it was a little bit better than trying to go overboard with these highlighters and really have a strong highlight. Because they are so metallic, they definitely accentuated some of the texture in my skin. I will say though that these are really long lasting. As I said, once you put them on, you definitely can't blend them out. You see I'm like swiping my hand on top of it right now and it's not moving around at all or coming off on my finger, which could be a good thing. So if you are really oily or if you're going to be in a really hot climate, per se you're going to a vacation on the beach or something like that and you really wanted to do the strobing thing, I think that these could be really good for it because they are so long lasting. They stay put once you put them on and they don't move around. But that could also, as I said, be sort of like a drawback because sometimes you want to go put on the highlight and then maybe you have to go do something else and you want to blend it out later, or something happens where you can't blend it instantly and then you're just stuck with a streaky highlight. So just keep that in mind. Overall, I think that these are a nice addition to the drugstore. I wouldn't run out and purchase them. I think that they are okay. I like them more if you're going to be mixing with your foundation rather than just putting on a really strong highlight. But if you're looking for like a really epically strong metallic highlight, these could be for you. Just keep in mind that you do need to blend them out instantly and they could look a little bit too harsh or a little bit stark, like really stark highlight. But you never know, that could be what you're going for. I do think that these highlighters are a nice addition to the drugstore. Would I run out and purchase all three of them again? Probably not. I would say that the ice is probably my favorite just based on my skin tone. I feel like the rose and the golden are really nice, but I do need to mix them with something else because they are really pigmented. And for me, being as fair as I am, it doesn't necessarily turn out as a nice highlight. More like it's just like a strong pink and golden glow, which isn't always what I'm going for. I think that depending what you're looking for, if you're looking for a really strong highlight or really metallic highlight or a highlight that's gonna last a really long time, I would recommend these. But overall, they don't excite me. I don't reach for them. I mean, I don't know if I'm happy I purchased them. I probably will use them, but it's not something that I think that I would necessarily recommend just because they do dry down really fast. They do accentuate any kind of texture that you have on where you're going to be highlighting, and they are overly metallic. I like more of a liquid illuminator. L'Oreal does make sort of like a primer one, which I would almost prefer and recommend over these. And I think that a lot of reviews that I've seen on these kind of say the same thing. I wanted to check them out for myself to sort of see how I felt about them, but I don't know. I probably would recommend them to a degree just depending on what you're looking for, but overall I don't reach for them and I feel like there are definitely better highlighters on the market. I hope you all have enjoyed this review that I've done on these new L'Oreal True Match Lumi Liquid Glow Illuminators. If you've tried them and you have any thoughts on them, definitely let me know in the comments below, and make sure you subscribe so you can see my upcoming review that I will do on the powder version of these. And thanks so much for watching. Stay tuned.